and thank you so much for tuning in. You are watching the Vuyo show, coming to you live, of course, from New York City. And I am your favorite global darling, Vuyo, here to serve you your daily dose of global goodness, like we do every single Monday to Friday. Of course, to make sure that your day gets started off the right way. And if you are in the middle of your day or at the end of your day, that you go ahead and enjoy the rest of it as we are serving you global goodness right here on the show. I'm super, super excited for today's episode. I know that you're going to enjoy it so, so much. We're speaking fashion, entertainment, and all things media. Of course, right here on the show today, we are touching the topic good global media and entertainment and also good global people. So you definitely are in for a great treat. All you have to do is sit back, relax, and of course enjoy the next couple of minutes together with me and you and our guest joining us on the show today. Don't forget, of course, to hit us up on social media at the Vuyo Show across all social media platforms. And don't forget to visit our website at www.thevuyotowattershow.com. Now, I'm sure you're wondering, who is this very special guest you have in store for us, Vuyo? We want to see him. We want to, of course, let us know. Of course, it is very, very, very sought after entrepreneur. I am super lucky to have been able to bring him to your presence. Of course, all the way from New York City. He's a serial battle tested entrepreneur. Of course, he has founded numerous different media companies and has worked with some of the biggest media companies around the world. And currently, the executive producer and producer for Runway 7 show, which is happening at New York Fashion Week. So, we're going to be talking all of that and so much more on the show today. But, ladies and gents, please, would you please put your hands together from wherever you are around the world for my next guest? Coming to you live from New York City, it is Rob Lee.
What's up, everybody? Such a pleasure being here with you guys. Such a pleasure.
I know that's right. I'm so excited to be chatting with you. I mean, there's just so much to unpack. And in the intro, I kind of briefly touched base onto your history in entertainment and fashion, and really just the media world in totality. But thank you for joining me. I'm excited for this conversation.
Oh, I'm so excited, and I was even more excited to be there with you guys in person. But hey, this doesn't have to be the first one. This is the before.
I know that's right.
We'll do the show, and then we'll recap in person. And then after you get that experience and share that with the viewers. But I'm extremely honored and humbled to be here.
Oh man, I said to you the first time we met, there's a ring to your name. Rob Lee. There's a ring to your name, but your story is a very, is a beautiful one. And I love sharing stories right here on the show. I love unpacking stories and journeys because there's something about your story that can help inspire, ignite, or really encourage someone from anywhere around the world, right? And your story really is from humble beginnings, but from where you are right now. We're seeing you and we are inspired. But give us a little bit of background of Rob Lee and give it to us from a personal point of view, right? And we're going to get into career in a bit. But if you were to kind of think back to Rob Lee, as a little boy in Rochester, was entertainment and media something that were you that child who just like is with the mirror and rapping, or like give it to us, all of
it? Yeah. So back to the humble beginnings of Rochester, New York. I always let everybody know I'm upstate bred, upstate fed, upstate New York, just letting everybody know what it is. But my humble beginnings actually started right in my living room. And I what's funny about it is I got the opportunity when I was in 5th grade to audition for a new TV show that was going to be nationally televised with PBS. And I show up to this audition, and I was actually recommended to the audition from my performing arts teacher at the time. And she spoke with me, spoke with my parents, and said, "Hey, I think he would be good for this. You should take him here." So my dad and my mom, they take me to this audition. There's tons of people there. theatrically trained, and all of these people just ready to go for it. And me, I just was there to just, hey, I'm just here to do it, no pressure. I was recommended for it. Um, I come from an athletic background, from myself, but also from my dad. I always acknowledge my father, as the Golden Champ is what we call him, because he was the national Golden Gloves boxing champion of 1955. So my dad, the fight is in the blood, so I'm naturally going to compete, right? So I go audition, do my thing, and they have me improv and do some different things just to showcase skill and talent. um I end up getting picked for this show, right? So uh what's funny about it is they then go to my parents and they're like, hey, this is fantastic. Oh, we love what he's doing. Where does he train at? Where did he learn? Where is he learning these things? And my parents kind of looked at each other. They said, in our living room. This is where he trains. And but I have to credit my parents. My mom has always said, to me and my siblings, that nothing comes to a dreamer but a dream. So my parents have been very instrumental in not only, fostering and cultivating my dream, but inspiring me and encouraging it. Because so many times in the entertainment industry, right, when people say, I want to be a musician, I want to be a singer, I want to be an actor, I want to be a hip hop artist, I want to rap, I want to be an artist, um, those aren't the typical 9 to 5 jobs. So a lot of times, people frown upon that, or sometimes they'll give you an expected window to do your thing in the entertainment field. And if people don't see you in the bright lights, if they don't see you, charting on the billboards, if they don't see you, winning a Grammy or an Oscar, people feel like, okay, well, maybe you're not being successful. And it's quite opposite of that. Success, especially in the entertainment industry, is an ongoing journey. It's not when you get the award. It's not when you get the, you reach a goal, because when you reach one goal, you're trying to get another. It's a position of leveraging. You
Yeah.
leverage success along the way. So that's what I've been able to do, going from my humble beginnings in Rochester, getting on the show, becoming one of the main characters on this show. Um, and it's so funny because some people find it still today, and they're like, "Oh my God, that's you when you were a little baby with no hair and no anything," And but I'm so thankful for that moment. I'm so thankful for that moment because it showed me that I can do it. Um, and it showed me, like, you know what, if I can do this, what else can I do? So again, leveraging, right? So I went from that. Also, was an athlete, played basketball pretty well. Earned myself a scholarship to college, as well as made it pro. But again, it was all about leveraging from the humble beginning. It was from my parents telling me, you can do this, son, go after it. Being at the games, dropping me off to, uh, you know, tape sessions when we had to get ready, to film and do all of our episodes and things like that. And then, talking with the school to when I would have to get with a teacher and, do the extra work and all of that just prepared me for the moments that I'm enjoying now. And it also prepared me for the adversity, because I have definitely faced a lot of adversity, both personal and professional, to be quite honest. But, like I said, the fight is in the blood and I'm made for it. So, yeah, so that I'll stop there,
I
because
like that.
I can keep going.
And I think, I'd like for us to just quickly touch base on you. You mentioned your parents quite often, and as you were speaking and referencing them to being, instrumental to your journey. And
Absolutely.
as you're saying, your dad was an athlete, or was there was an athletic nature at home. What did you take from your dad's, victories, and watching him and seeing him perform and win, right? What did you take from that? What skills would you say you were able to, as that little boy, seeing that and then kind of making yourself aware of this, and that, what would you say those things would be that you took from him?
Absolutely. I would say perseverance, hard work, dedication, and the ability to get up, and the ability to take a punch. You know, um, that and also I would also say strategy. Strategic thinking and intelligence, because in order to perform, and become a champion at something, meaning you're the top of the game, you're top of
Yeah.
the food chain, you have to be able to exhibit these things. You have to take the punches. And while you're getting punched, you still have to, maintain a strategy in your mind to put yourself in the position or to continue the position of winning, So those are the things that I definitely took from him. Um, from my mom, because like I said, they're equal, they're balancing each other out at all times. My mom, um, you know, uh, patience, you know, um, wisdom, the ability to know when to not go so hard, be a little soft, a little softer, not weak, just, more of a gentle approach, know when to be gentle. My mom, was an RN, she's a retired RN, and both of them served in the capacity of helping people. you know my dad professionally, once he wasn't in boxing or anything like that anymore. He was definitely a servant to the community. He became the director of social services for the housing authority of Rochester, where he was serving people. My mom, an RN, when she's serving people, so that was also the common denominator, that also set the tone for me as well.
Yeah, I think it's important for us to always acknowledge those who are instrumental, right? And
Yeah.
and I'm hoping that this conversation will help whoever's watching reflect on who has been part of your journey and who has been instrumental in your journey, and acknowledging those individuals, because without them, it would have been a difficult journey. Paint us
Yes.
a picture of Rochester for someone who's sitting somewhere around the world and is
Yeah.
wondering, what is Rochester really like? If you were to
Yeah.
describe that part of New York, what would you say it's like?
Absolutely. It's still New York state of mind. We just don't live in buildings. It's more residential. Um, very innovative place. And just to kind of set the history there, everyone knows, or if they remember, I would say, I hate to say it like this, but Kodak. Kodak set the tone for film across the world. Rochester is the home and birthplace of Kodak. Um,
Mm.
and some other quick facts. It's also the birthplace of Western Union, French's Mustard. But also on the talent side, it's also produced others that have achieved greatly, as well. R&B singer Tweet, the model Tyson Beckford, Tay Diggs, accomplished actors from there. Philip Seymour Hoffman. People like this are innovative people that have come from Rochester. Garth Fagan, famous in the dance world. But it's a very beautiful place. It's also, our resident home logo, everything flowers to Lilac City. So lilac trees are plentiful. They're beautiful when they bloom. They're all over Rochester. And Rochester also is a very nice festival city as well. We have the Jazz Fest there in Rochester. Made it to the Travel Channel as a feature. It's been listed as, one of the top um, festivals to attend in the world. Again, we have so many innovative things that come out of there, and I'm just happy to be a part of that.
Yeah, and out of Rochester is the one and only Rob Lee, ladies
That's
and
right.
gents.
That's right. Let it know.
And who are you watching, right? Who in the entertainment world during that time when you were in Rochester growing up, having to kind of put your foot in the entertainment world, but
Yes.
who are you watching, that served as a kind of a mirror and an inspiration for you for the trajectory of your career?
Yeah, I would say a lot of people that caught my eye um, were a lot of the people that were tangible to me within my family. Actually, you know, you're always going to hear me go back to family
I love
because
that. Yeah.
you know I have members in my family who were, you know, that had that celebrity aura about them. You know, again, even starting, you know, like I said, my dad. You know, when I would go around with him, you know, as a little kid, and I'm seeing how people would respond to him, and I'm looking at him like, wow, why they treat you like this? You know, uh, same thing with my mom, or you know, my older sister. Um, Also very intelligent, accomplished in sports, and you know, so I've had those celebrity examples right in front of me the whole time. You know, one of my cousins, Antoine Bradley, um, you know, rest in peace, but his presence is still here. But he was a celebrity barber, and the thing is that that's not something I was say that he was like, okay, I'm going to be a celebrity barber. I'm just going to be the best at what I do, because he also was an accomplished football player, you know. So again, that competitive spirit that drove him to say, I'm not only going to be a barber, I'm going to be the best barber. And not only did he become that, he became so good that the Buffalo Bills became his clients. Like one person came, then another, and another, and another. And people were like, okay, if you want that cut, go to him. And when he was cutting them is when they started going to the Super Bowl. So people were like, okay, it must be the cuts, you know. So so I've always had those examples right in front of me, starting with my family. But then as you know, I transitioned, I looked professionally, I looked at others that, you know, were doing just magnificent things on the business side, but still making it look cool.
Mm.
You know, you look at people like you know what Puff has done, you know, as a businessman. You look at what 50 Cent has done as a businessman. You just kind of looking at them and seeing what they've done in an innovative way. I look at, a good friend of mine, Keith Perrin, one of the original founders of Fubu Clothing. I mean, to be in the room with these kind of people and to listen to them and to hear them say what worked, what didn't work, to be a fly on the wall and just kind of look at, okay, that was cool. Okay, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. So I kind of was, doing the a la carte thing, right? Taking what I felt would work for me, not taking things that didn't resonate with me, but just watching people like that and being inspired by people like that really helps. And one of the things I try to stay in touch with too is those that are on the come up as well, because they're in their mind, they're innovative, they're going through their strategic thinking of, how do I become this, right? And as I call these names out, right, nobody's perfect, right? A lot of times we look at our heroes or we look at those that inspire us, and sometimes, especially today, because everything is so people hear what they see. Um, that if with social media, clickbait, sound bites, you know some of our people who are human, right, can get tripped up or they can get in situations, but it still doesn't discount, to
The
me,
work.
the work that they put in to get there. When you watch someone ahead of you, I feel like you have to watch everything, the good, bad, and the indifferent, right? So that way you know how to navigate yourself, navigate your own path. So I'm always watching everybody and I'm watching everything. I try not to, judge anybody, right? There's only one person, God, that does the judging. That's it. But yeah, we're human, right? So it's sometimes human to go, is that true? Or did that really happen? But I don't get caught up in that. I just kind of watch the work, watch the journey, and I just try to do the best I can to be of inspiration and of service to others.
And that particular word of service, which is something that you grew up with and you know very well and understood, therefore, I guess in whatever arena you were to go to, that was still fundamentally at the core of your
Yes.
work, right? The year 2001 comes and it occurs, and your journey begins as an executive within this magnitude of an industry.
Oof.
Tell us what was happening in 2001. If you were to kind of delve into that year and
Yeah.
what led to some of the decisions that you took, which placed you as a vice president of that
Yes.
record label.
Yes. So again, I started, like I said, artistically, right? I just want to be an artist. So, I'm an actor, then, I want to sing. I want to, and of course, hip hop is going. So I want to rap, I want to do all of these things. But I always wanted to be a decision maker. That was very early, a part of my thinking is that, you know what, after I, do my thing artistically, I'm going to win some awards, I'm going to do this and that, and then I'm going to become an executive. But it actually happened the opposite. As I was on the rise, I was doing some work just artistically. I was just creating music at the time, writing, doing R&B, and um, I found a platform. I said, okay, I'm gonna go through this particular platform and try to get myself out there. But the way that I was moving, they recognized my business acumen, and they started to ask, more questions. And as they listened to again the strategic thinking, then came an offer and said, you know what, we're watching how you move. We like it. We like not only how you represent yourself, but we think that would be a good representation for us. How about joining the ranks? And at that point, I was like, oh, well, wow, join the ranks. And once they brought that up and said, hey, we want to offer you, vice president, it was a development label, grooming house type label, because, and it's so funny because technology has advanced everything. So some of the things I'm going to say is going to sound like I'm talking like 89 years ago, but it's really not. But then offer was given to me to join the ranks as a vice president of this indie label that was already a grooming house and working with other labels like MCA, Sony. MCA folded, so some people are like, MCA, what is that? But Sony and a host of others out there. And I saw that opportunity as again a leveraging situation where I can get my thing out there quicker. Once I became VP, after about, I would say just under 6 months of work, I was then offered to become a partner. And
Wow.
once that happened, I said, okay, let's go at it. But again, watching my dad be behind a desk, you know, that was already ingrained in me. Getting the wisdom from my mom, from my siblings, from my older cousins, just everybody around. That
Yes, you may
allowed
continue.
um, that allowed me to, have the ability to step into that role and again use it as a leveraging position. So once I dove into that, it was really exciting because I said, okay, now that I have this, how do I move things from here? Um, I started helping other artists. I'm helping train other artists. Um, Everything was just real exciting and moving fast, right? And then a group project was created. Um, so there was a new group. I was asked, hey, would you be a part of it? We see you as
Yeah.
one of the guys, and so there's a iconic group, called the Moments. They everyone remembers their song "Love on a Two-Way Street." So, and they have a host of other hits, but the group that they asked us to be in was the new version of that. So,
Yeah.
so I was asked to be a part of that, and I was deeply honored. Um, One of my guys, best friends, brothers to this day, shout out to him, Marco G. He's doing his thing as well. Marco G is a part of the Sherry Shepherd show. He's doing his thing. Everybody knows him from his famous hat, his brims that he wears. But shout out to my guy Marco G. We're gonna be doing some work as well. But he was a part of the group as well. Again, humble beginnings, right?
Yeah.
Um, but that's how everything was moving. you know, at that time, it was just boom, 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 boom. No social media the way we know it today, right?
Yeah.
So boom, boom, everything is moving. So you have to, you know, be able to move things yourself. And, you know, the culminating moment for me then was there was a pre Grammy showcase, red carpet show in New York City. And this is where the group was going to be presented. We come out, we do our songs, live band, standing ovation, you know, a lot of, you know, important people in the audience, from, you know, just corporate executives to industry executives. And at the time, we were also collaborating with MBK Entertainment. They were responsible for bringing out Alicia Keys. And um, one of the partners in that management group was at that show and watched us tear it down. And and I never will forget the excitement of, oh my God, you guys just did it. Oh my God, standing ovation. And then the other guy standing with him, and again, I'm giving history here, right? The other guy standing with him was another guy that by the name of Jermaine Paul. People remember Jermaine Paul because if you remember Alicia Keys' song Diary, the guy that's singing in that duet with her, that's Jermaine Paul. A lot of background, you know, music with her. And I remember Jermaine was like, yo, Mr. Falsetto, because, you know, the moments sung with falsetto, I was the front man for that group, our group. And, you know, I had to learn the falsetto style. And that's what actually got me the moniker Young Smokey, what they call me today.
Yeah.
And but just to have that history of, you know, being around when Alicia Keys was being crafted, you know, before the world really knew who she was, to be around, you know, a Jermaine Paul, or, you know, to have started this thing, humble beginnings, with my guy Marco G, you know, my guy Josh Figueroa, and my guy Carlos, we call him Carlito, you know. So, um, all of us just doing our thing, man. It's just, it was fun. It was exciting. It was humble beginnings. Never knew where, you know, what any of us would be doing today, but it definitely was exciting, just doing it and doing it, doing it, doing it, doing it, doing it, doing it. And, you know, and another thing to add to the humble beginnings, right, of that time, because
Yeah.
with that question, everything just came flooding in. So, you know, also shout out to my guy Finn the DJ. You know, he does his thing, and he was a part of, you know, their group and their crew doing their thing, the Justice League with Ninth Wonder, Little Brother, everybody just doing their thing. Again, back to humble beginnings. But then you fast forward, and you see all of these fantastic things that people are doing and have done. But that's what that year was like for me. It was like that freshman class, right, of people that were putting in work, putting in work, putting in work. And every person and every name I just said are all doing their thing, you know. So to be able to go back to that time, and take, you know, you and the viewers on a quick trip as possible, you know, to that time, man, that you unleashed something there. You really did.
I love that because I think it's moments and it's stories like those that
Yeah,
really craft, you know, the underlined Rob Lee that we get to see today. Like we get to see the incredible work, but getting to hear those stories is what gives me excitement. I'm like, oh my god,
yeah, yeah.
those were
It's oh
important. You know,
man,
those were so. And it's not only the work, but also the community building, right? Building a
yes,
community, and the people that you mentioned are now part of your story, but also part of your community, and being
yes,
able to kind of make sure that you're nurturing those as you're moving along, as an essential thing in our industry as well, right? It's
absolutely.
fundamental to have that. And what would you say was a different thing that you acknowledged as you were transitioning to the executive side of things, that when you were on the other side you were not aware of, that when you got on the other side you were like, okay.
Yeah, yeah. So what I had to be prepared for coming into that more of the executive role was being able to say no, um, but also balancing the ability to say no with the ability to teach at the same time. Because you get a lot of people who want to be in the entertainment industry, right? It's the lights, the glamour, it looks good, being socially recognized at a certain level. People want that part of it, but you really have to have a thick skin. You have to be able to, um, when you say no, you become the bad guy,
Yeah.
and you have to be all right with that, especially if you know that you're doing it from a place of being genuine, or you're doing it from a place of um, demanding the best out of someone, right?
Yeah.
So when I was with the label at the time, every Saturday from 10 a.m. to I think it was 5 p.m., we had open auditions. Now, I always joke about it because I used to say at the time it was happening, man, we should be filming this stuff. This was before American Idol. This is before any of those things. So when American Idol came out, I laughed. I said, see, that was confirmation
That is
that
it.
right
Yeah.
point. And the funny thing is that obviously, right, in TV, we accentuate the things to make it watchable, right? But those type of auditions you saw happening in American Idol and all these other things, those are the exact type auditions that would come through our door. And I remember, like, some people would get up there and perform, and or if they're singing, and once they get finished, and they look, and and we have to give feedback to partners, the decision makers, and I'm like, you didn't hear that you were not on key the whole time, like, and they're,
What a Mike.
yeah, they're like, no, I sounded great. People tell me all the time, and
My mom told me I can sing.
yeah, and I'm like, oh no, but you do. The fact that you have the ability to get up here and do it proves that you have something. But
Mm.
what my suggestion is, and then that's when we would give notes. Go get vocal training, go do this, go do that. Why don't you come back in a few months and let's see what you can do, right? But then there are others that will come in and blow it away, right? Very talented, but they don't know anything about the business, right? This is an entertainment business, and a lot
Business.
of people go into that forgetting that. Even people that have become the biggest stars, right? Um, Socially, biggest star socially, a high profile personality, you know, everyone isn't built for that. You know, a lot of people, when they do make it, yeah, and especially in an era like today, where in social media people feel like they have a right to be in your business, they have a right to know your day to day. I think you have to be very careful in knowing how to manage and maintain that. But being that executive when there wasn't a social media as prominent as it is today, um, I had to understand very quickly, how do I still be strategic? How do I say no? How do I not get offended when people look at me and say, "Hey, man, I think that you being this, or and it's like, no, I'm not being hard, I'm not being mean, but I have to make business decisions." And I think
Decisions.
that's the bigger, if not the biggest, takeaway and lesson that it's always been for me, is I have to make decisions that are right for the business, not for personal reasons, right? Yeah, I like you, but that's not gonna be the best business decision. So I've always had to maintain making the best business decision, and I think I've been pretty good with that. Especially because I do a lot of praying. I pray a lot. You know, um, and that's where I like to draw my inspiration and kind of get my steps ordered from. And because a lot of times, you can't trust your feelings, right? You can't trust your own emotions. Sometimes you need to be guided. Actually, all the time you need to be guided. So,
Mm.
um, so in order to make the best business decision, I just try to, maintain that focus and be okay with it once it's made.
Mm. I think from what I'm taking from that is that you, firstly, a visionary, because if, as you're saying that you saw something and then a couple of years later that was being implemented. So
Right.
having that visionary mindset and kind of persona, I think is really essential, right? And I'm sure you saw that as something, and even the people that after 6 months elevated you and gave you, we're acknowledging that
Right.
Rob sees the future, he sees what's going to be coming up, he sees what's next, and therefore trusting him with that with those types of decision is essential. And then
Yeah.
the second thing that I'm kind of taking note, and I love telling our audiences to have a notebook and a pen and just jot down these notes, because these are fundamental wisdoms, right? That
Yeah.
we can take from that. But the ability to say no, and understanding the business,
Yeah.
and like any other business, entertainment is as well a business.
Yes.
The year 2005 comes about, and you go on a journey of, the upstate cats.
Yeah.
You're on that journey 4 years, 5 years later.
Yeah.
What inspired you to take that particular route, right? Because you'd been working with this record label. Then what then made you come to the decision of, you know what, I think I'm ready to take the next step, which is found and kind of, steerhead my own establishment, the
Yeah.
Upstate Cats.
The upstate cats. Oh, that's our call. So
Okay.
but yeah, so that again, right? It's not all rainbows and butterflies. The journey is not that. I got to a point with the label where we had some creative differences, and no bad blood, no anything like that. It was just, I said, okay, I saw this as I prayed on it. I said, okay, this is now where I'm being led to something else. But I understood that my time with the label actually prepared me for the next step, right?
Yeah.
The next step and the next stop, which was Upstate Cats Entertainment. Um, I said, okay, you know what? How do I lead this thing out? And again, this was also me watching other people do it. Puff was that executive that also made the music. So, and it was working, right? And then other people would do the same thing. Master P was an executive, but he was No Limit, and other examples like that. But as I watch, and again, I'm in New York City, so I'm seeing Puff, right? So I'm like, okay, I guess I gotta make my thing happen by doing my own music and let that lead the way for everyone else. Also, do it that way so it keeps me humble and knowing how to be a leader, right? So, because I'll have to go through the same trenches. If I'm going to lead others through it, I need to go through
Understand, yeah.
So once I said, okay, it's time to branch out on faith and do what I do, I went in, created a single, and I said, okay, how do we get this out there? The single's called Shining Star. And I said, okay, what do I do? This is the introduction of Young Smokey, of Rob Lee, the soloist. Because remember, I was in a group situation.
Yeah.
So how do I get this out there? Now, this is where the experience with the label as an executive came into play, because it helped my strategic thinking and saying, how do I get this out here? So I'm just searching and searching. And then I find this platform called Urban Network Magazine and Radio. It was founded by a guy named Miller London, who was an executive at Motown. So I said, okay, I'm watching things online here. I'm Young Smokey. Smokey Robinson was with Motown. Maybe it's meant for me to go here and try to figure this out. So again, no social media, right? So you're trying to figure out ways to get it out there. So I find out that they're doing this big industry summit weekend kind of thing out in Palm Springs, California. So I said, all right, you know what? I think I got to try to get there. But damn, I don't have no money. I just spent what money I hustled up to make this project, to make this single, go in the studio, get the art done, and get it printed up. So I said, okay, what do I do? You know what? Let me find the contact information. Found that, called them. I didn't care who I was going to talk to. I just needed to talk to somebody. That person picks up the phone. Hello. I said, yeah. Hey, introduce himself. You give the spill. Hey, I'm so-and-so. I'm Young Smokey Rob Lee. And this and that. Oh, Young Smokey. Why you call Young? Oh, because, I do the falsettos on the new Smokey Robinson. I'm selling this thing, right? And person on the phone is like, wow, okay. I said, yeah, I see you guys have a conference coming up. I'm trying to get there. What can I do to get on this conference? And they're like, I said, they gave me dates, and I said, well, look, if I can't get to the conference, can you at least, where can I send the music? So I just want to get it played. And so they're listening to me, and they say, okay, well, how about you send the music over, so we could check it out, and then we kind of let you know from there. I said, all right, cool. I just needed somebody to say, send it over. Send it over. You know, I'm just like, hey, as long as somebody hear it, I think it's good enough for somebody's gonna say something, right? You hope that as an artist. Just because you make something don't mean everybody else think it's hot, you know. So I get a call back in 15 minutes, no lie. 15 minutes.
Wow.
Hello? And they were like, yeah, hey, you know, this person you just spoke with. And I said, yeah. They said, well, I just happened to answer the phone. It was actually the director of business development for the entire platform that answered the phone because their admin at the time was at lunch. So I said,
Divine connection.
man, I was like, oh, thank you, thank you. So then he says, look, I just took a listen, man. This stuff is really good. I thought you were joking when you said Young Smokey, you know, and I was like, oh, okay, he really acknowledging that. And he said, look, our conference that's going to be taking place out here, and this was probably like a week away. He said, if you can get here, I'll take care of the rest when you're here. He said, because
Wow.
tons of people here that you definitely need to meet. Da, 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 da. So I said, okay. All right, I'm listening. I say, all right. I said, look, I'm going to be very honest, man. I used all my money to create this project. I'm going to try to hustle up something to at least get there. He said, listen, just get here. Don't work. Because at these summits, you know, you got to pay to get in. You got to do this and that. So I hustled up some money, you know, flew to Palm Springs, and it's at this beautiful resort, you know,
Oh.
palm trees and everything, you know, beautiful suites overlooking the pool, you know,
Love it.
in suite services. That's not where I stayed because I ain't had no money. So so I ended up at this motel. I booked a motel, no lie, motel, like a cot and something else in there. It was probably like a 2 or 3 block walk away from where the actual resort was. So I'm in. I said, look, as long as I got a place to lay my head and I can wash up a little bit, I got it from here. Go inside this place again, stepping out on faith, and that is the lesson that I'm saying in this for those that are listening. Step out on faith, believe, and remember, faith is what you don't see. It's not what you see, what you don't see. Mind you, I didn't know this man from a can of paint, right? I didn't know if he was going to be a man of his word when I got there. He could have been like, I don't know this guy, you know? I walk in the place, people are like, yeah, you know, how you doing? Is your name here? I said, yeah, so-and-so told me to come here. My name is Rob Lee. Oh, you're Rob Lee? Oh, okay. Just go in the back. And I was just like, okay, maybe he does, you know, gonna hold me down.
Yeah.
They point me in his direction. I'm still trying to find him. I bump into one of the DJs from the radio platform and introduce myself. Hey, I'm looking for so-and-so, Arthur Miller. And he was like, oh, you're Rob Lee? Man, we playing stuff on the radio. And, and I said, oh, really? He's like, man, everybody calling and requesting this thing. So I finally find Arthur. That's his name, Arthur Miller. So I find him. He's like, hey, man, what's up, man? Now, mind you, I didn't know what he looked like. None of this. Because there's no social media, right?
Yes, yeah.
And he's like, yeah, let me introduce you to people. And, man, faith is the man, which it don't see.
Wow.
And this man was a man of his word. Here I am just a week earlier, right? Scrounging up money to now being at this place in Palm Springs. Who do I meet? Tina Marie. Cool from Cool in the Gang. At the time, Jaheim just came out. So Jaheim is there. I'm, DMC of Run DMC. So icons are coming in there. Hey man, how you doing?
And you're there backstage with them. You're in the mix.
Yeah, we're all at this conference, just talking with each other, rubbing shoulders. The owners of the Sacramento Kings, you know, we all in the same building. Just yeah, hey man, what's up? Oh, this is Rob Lee. His song, da da da. And I'm like, wow. And it's like, yeah. So, where you staying? What's your room number here? And I was, I give the room number, but they don't know it's over at the motel. You know what I'm saying?
They don't gotta know. How will they know?
I'm here. You know. So yeah, so that was exactly what transpired. And that song, Shining Star, due to that platform, Urban Network Magazine and Radio, because I believe giving credit where credit is due. Arthur Miller picked up the phone, didn't have to do that, you know. Harold Whaley, that was the DJ that knew who I was. Miller London is who started that platform for artists that were on the come up. Shining Star got 3 out of 5 stars in 19 countries because of that platform, and that's what started the lifeblood for Upstate Cats Entertainment. Yeah,
That's
yeah,
good stuff.
yeah,
That's good stuff you're sharing with
yeah,
us today. It's all
yeah.
good stuff. And the vision then from that point, right? You saw
Hmm.
the magnitude of what you could accomplish and what you could achieve. What
Right.
then was the goal going forward from there? That this is the trajectory and the direction that we're going to be taking with Upstate Cats.
Yeah. So for Upstate Cast Entertainment, right, I'm just coming off doing the label thing. I didn't want to do the label thing anymore. So I
Yeah.
specialized in management and production. Management because I wanted that piece to be the part of us that taught artists the business. So anybody that was down with our team, I already had my select guys that were already with me on the journey. We just officially made it the Upstate Cast, Upstate Cast Entertainment, Upstate Cat team. Um, but I wanted the management part to be the vehicle that taught the business. Because one thing with artists, I would tell them is like, look, you can sign to us and we'll manage you because we know what we're doing. But at the same time, I'm not trying to have you sign with me forever. What I want to do is sign you, educate you, and then release you to be able to stand on your own too. One of the things I learned from, a lot of my business mentors was the more you empower your circle, the more you empower yourself. So that's why I always moved with that moniker. The production side was because I always knew talented musicians and producers. So, I said, all right, guys, you guys come on. We'll do the production, not just for ourselves, but for other things, whether it's an artist, a movie, film project, TV project. Let's just always, produce that music. So I just put the focus on management production for that reason.
And you worked with brands like beat platforms like BT, MTV,
Yes, yes,
and the
yes,
likes.
yeah.
What did working with those types of platforms do further continuously for the company and for the growth of it?
Yeah, it validated us, and that was being able to do that in the first year Upstate Cast Entertainment was officially formed. That was a very big feat, right? Because some people don't hit that lick or that goal. It could be year 3, year 5, year 10, but because of the experience and using that, um, I think we narrowed the scope to be a little bit more successful to hit the target. Just didn't know it was going to hit it like that. It was the right timing, and we um, again, this doesn't sound like I'm talking about eons ago, but when ringtones and wallpapers was a thing, with cell phones, I had a chance meeting at the summit, as of all places, where I was at,
Mm.
because I was also there as an artist, but I was there doing business too. So I ended up meeting some representatives from a company that were leading in that space of ringtone and wallpapers. And when they heard our production, they asked if they could use it to launch their campaign. So came back, had that meeting down in Wall Street, New York City, and that's how we got to become the entity to produce the first text 4100 commercials that featured on BET, Spike Television, VH1, um, and MTV. It was that right there. It was like, okay, we're here now. This validated us. We're here. You know, we're forced to be reckoned with. You stick your chest out a little more, like, yeah, yeah, yeah. You see what we did? But then behind the scene, you're like, okay, we gotta do more. We gotta do more. We gotta do more. What else can we come up with? But being able to do that and being in the room with those people, or just earn the respect of what we created, that they felt it was worthy enough to put on their networks, right? That for me was like, okay, we're here now. But it also, that feeling can become scary too. Everybody
Yeah.
understands,
Yeah.
when you pray and you get what you're asking for, you got to be ready to receive it, and you got to be ready to do something with it, because that's sometimes where you get not the one hit wonders in music, but the one hit wonders in anything, right? Because something can hit you and overwhelm you so much where it's just like, okay, wow, this is big. How do I move from here? But because we were always preparing ourselves, once that big moment happened, it was like, okay, mission accomplished. How do we jump from here to another?
Yeah.
So that's what it did for us, being able to interact with those particular brands at the time.
And I guess it's a mindset, right? As you're
Yeah.
saying, being able to be ready. Because a lot of people are talented, a lot of people have what it takes, but there's that what they call inferiority complex that
Yes.
kicks in where the good becomes too good and it's unbelievable, and it's like,
Yeah.
no.
Yes.
This
Yes.
is too
Yes.
much.
Especially a business full of access. Once you reach, you have access to things, and you run into the yes men and the yes people, and you always got to stay humble. Always keep that person that's willing to tell you, like, hey, don't forget who you are. That's important.
Yeah. And I said earlier on when, I was kind of introducing you about the term serial entrepreneur, and that
Yeah.
really culminates of someone who has an understanding, a deep understanding of entrepreneurship. And I want to just touch base on this next venture that you've placed yourself in, and I'm going to use the word Peru. And when I say Peru,
Yeah.
you're going to
Yeah.
go into detail.
Yes. 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 So, one story.
It's not the song, the song Peru. I think it's by there's this artist that sing that song Peru.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know that song.
We
When I
gonna
saw
make
that,
a new one. Yeah, we gonna make a new one. So that's how we do that.
yeah.
But no, it's funny. So the transition from there to Peru, right? Just transitioning out of that, right? Do the BET thing. The other thing that came with it too, before I jump into that, was the other team I got to make sure I acknowledge, which is Rock Boy Records. Shout out to Fly Tie, DR Period. DR Period is the brainchild, mega super producer, 30 million records sold. He's worked with everybody. Had the pleasure of working with him as well, and those are my collaborators and family to this day. Again, that all happened out of that summit.
Wow.
People putting us together and things like that. So we got some stuff we're doing too. So be on the lookout for that. We'll be talking about that as well. But that transitioned into me, coming into meets with my partner, Anthony Rosa. So at the time, like I told you, everyone's doing their thing, humble beginnings. Anthony, he's doing his thing. Got a clothing brand going, and making moves with it. We get celebrities to wear it, and so it was called Got Game, and we're doing this thing. And Anthony's a basketball player, just like I am, right? So coming from that team mantra, competitive. That's where the game came from, because obviously if you're doing your thing, you got to have game. So it was a play on all of that. And at the time, Ant's just doing branding, so I joined them and we're just doing, branding for people. So we're working with different people, and the calendars and the DVDs is what really took off on what we were doing with what I call the first original video vixen. No disrespect to the IG models of today, but the ones that were doing it before there was social media, you really had to have a hustle in you to do it. So
yeah,
we were working with the likes of Melissa Ford, Vita Guerra, Buffy the Body, Ice-T's wife Coco, Tahiri, Sincerely Ward, different people, and we were doing the branding for the calendars and DVDs. So they were featuring in like Black Men magazine and King magazine, all these different magazines that became popular. That was us behind that, and but then Anthony says to me one day, he's like, "Look, man, gotta ask you something." I was like, "What?" He's like, "All right, look, this is what we're doing. We're getting ready to launch the factory." I said, "Okay, this is dope. Yeah, this sounds good." He says, "But I need you to put the entertainment down for about 6 months." And I was like, "What?" He was like, yeah, I need you to, because I'm gonna really need you to, help out, bring your network, like just do all these different things, so we could. Now, mind you, I see the vision, but then you asked me to put down the entertainment industry. Now, mind you, you hear the momentum I'm telling you that's been happening. So I'm like, put the entertainment industry down for 6 months? Bro, you gotta let me think about this one. And he was just like, yo, just think about it, but I'm telling you, it's gonna be this, this, and that. So I said, all right. Took me about a week, literally. And then I said, you know what? Sounds like a good idea. We're talking about world economics now. We're talking about this and that. Now that's the executive in me started coming out. So
what business? Yeah.
yeah. So at that point, I said, you know what? Is this going to be the best decision for business, and then the best decision to continue leveraging to the next thing? Called him. I was like, all right, I'm in. Let's go. Let's do it. So got busy, got to work. The factory opened its doors in 2008 in Lima, Peru. The factory was built literally from the ground up, has 5 floors today. And, got all the way up to employing to 20 to 25 people. Now, mind you, in the world of manufacturing, that is a small speck, right? But it's ours.
Mm.
Not only is it ours, but you don't see a lot of us in that space at all. So Anthony's Puerto Rican. I'm Black, obviously. And so to see it, that, and then we have a multicultural group of people now in the world of not just fashion, but world economics, because we hold a chess piece with an apparel manufacturing facility. The timing was perfect as well. At the time, the NAFTA agreement was just passed, with the U.S. and Peru, so there was no taxes on the goods. So for us, that helped in business. Peru is also closer than China, all right? Everyone goes to China to get their stuff done, but Peru is closer. And also the language barrier was not as wide. Neither was the time difference. China can deliver in 60 days. We could deliver in 45. We would do smaller quantities instead of requiring you to do massive amounts of quantities. So we were able to start hitting it in different ways. And once we started doing that, we really started to separate ourselves, but also validate who we were in the world of fashion. Because once we opened the business doors of the factory, we were dealing with everybody, from the person that just started their business in their living room all the way up to Lil Wayne when he launched Truck Fit. His people came in. DJ Khaled, his wife came in. All these different people were coming through our doors, because clothing is a necessity of life. It doesn't matter who you are, right?
Yeah,
And then
wherever you are.
Yeah, exactly. Then you have people who are looking to launch their brands. And once it became about launching their brands, you got to go to a source. And that, in fact, is what we did. And we were busting our humps, right? Just doing so many different things. I mean, we were producing for anybody. We would go canvas the streets of New York and go to a pizza shop. Hey, we can do your T-shirts and, da 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 da. And if we can, we give you a good price and we can hook you up. And, we had to go in there like we were just the salespeople, not knowing we the people doing it. So, we're like, yeah, we can do it. Oh, you got a T-shirt? We can do that too. And Peru is the home of Pima cotton. So whenever you see Pima cotton on anything, you know it came from Peru. Even though if it says made in China or wherever, that's because they came to Peru, got it, to that. But it's native to Peru. All right. So and Pima cotton we call it the Bentley of cotton, because it naturally has the most luxurious feel to it. And that's without even being treated. So that's just a little history on Pima. But as we started to produce, and we started having more and more people come in the door, but the culminating moment for us was we were in a meeting in our conference room. Myself, Anthony, 2 of the founding members of FUBU Clothing, Jay Alexander, Keith Perrin, George Christiani, who was the former president of Calvin Klein. At the time of his leadership, he took them to over 200 million in sales. And then Don Jones at the time, who was the president of Fredericks of Hollywood. Don Jones is the guy. He's the turnaround guy. He's the guy businesses would call when they would get in trouble and they needed someone to come turn them back around and take them out of the red and put them back in the green. That's who Don was. He's the guy that turned around the Gap when they got in trouble, and IKEA. And at this time, he's the president of Fredericks of Hollywood. So we're all in our conference room, our little conference room, in our meeting, here to figure out how do we keep going and talk business to each other. I remember tapping Ant underneath the table, and I looked at him. I said, "We here now. We here. We got these guys sitting here, and they're like, we're trying to figure out how to do what you guys do." And I was like, "Oh shoot, we're here now." And so that was a culminating moment for us having that factory. And then the other culminating moment was there was a mutual person that ended up hooking myself and 50 Cent
Yes.
together. And we're talking and like, hey, 50 wants to meet with you guys. And I said, okay, Ant, look, 50 wants to meet. He wants to talk. And of course now this is 50 is already, blown through the world on the music side with G Unit, but he's also, making his mark on the film side and the television side. He's doing different things. So we get the call for that and we go to that meeting. And when we get to 50's office, we get there, we probably got there maybe like 15 minutes before he did. He was coming from working out. And like he has his scheduled session. He walks in, and when he comes in, introduces himself. Now he doesn't introduce himself as like I'm Kurt.
Yeah.
Hey, nice to meet you guys. Yeah, let's get right to it. Y'all want some water, anything? Boom, 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 boom. We go walk in his office. He closed the door. It's just him, our mutual, friend, myself, and Anthony. And no lie, 50 just gets right into it. He just goes, look, I need to know how you guys, now mind you, our home headquarters offices are in New York City.
Yeah.
The factory is in Lima, Peru. He goes, I just need to know one thing, man. How in the hell are y'all running a factory from here in the city that you running in Peru? That's gangster. I need to know what's up. So at that point, we go in and we have a whole 4-hour meeting. 4 hours uninterrupted. He didn't touch a phone. Nobody interrupted. It was literally the four, us in there for 4 hours. And he was like, I need to figure out how we going to work together. How we going to do different things. At the time, he had just was doing this thing with Floyd Mayweather. He's got the G Unit clothing that he's trying to, resurrect again or just take it to another level. And the funny thing is, I remember him talking to me at the time, and he's like talking about his endeavors, things that he was doing with like his energy shot brand that he had, and then what he, then he's explaining the things that he's doing. He's just coming off collaborating with Robert De Niro on some things, and he's explaining his vision of what he's getting ready to do there. Lo and behold, it's what we're seeing now, the Power Universe kind of thing. And it's like, oh, shoot. So I remember when Power and all that came out, I was like, oh, this is what he was talking about. Okay. So, but at that time, for him to say, what are you guys doing? I need to figure this out. And, people like him are, they're way makers. After we have the meeting, we do all of that. And then he walks us to, on a different day, he has us meet him at this other company called Pure Growth. They're the company that does Foot Locker and everything like that. So literally, we walk in with him, me and 50, we walk in, and they didn't know he was coming. He just popped up. So he just walked in, and they're like, oh, hey, oh my God, 50, what's up? Blah, blah, blah. He's like, hey, I need to see so-and-so. And the head person comes out, and oh, we didn't know you were coming. He was like, yeah, no, I gave you a call. But look, these are guys from Peru. They have a factory there, and they're doing such and such and such and such, man. We need to figure something out. And he was like, and they were like, oh, okay. Yeah. He was like, yeah, so this is, yeah, you got it. This is Rob, it's Anthony, so-and-so. You guys got it? All right. I got to go handle some business, but y'all make it happen. And he leaves.
Wow.
So, it's those moments when, again, when you move into the next level, you'll get those signs of affirmation. You'll get those signs of confirmation, right? Whether they work all the way out or not, it's the signs that you're watching let you know that you're here, you're doing. So to get someone like 50, obviously we see how, what he's doing, how busy he can be, right? But for him to set aside 4 hours of his time to focus on you and what you're doing, for Don Jones, George Criscione, Jay Alexander and Keith Parent, for those guys to take away from their schedules and say, we're here to figure out what you're doing. When you got those kind of things happening, it's like, yeah, okay, so that's how everything started. That's how everything began with the factory in Lima, Peru.
You're such a great storyteller. I don't know if someone has ever told you that. Like, you take one on a journey, and I'm sitting here, and I can see all these things you're saying, and I'm like, oh, I can imagine that boardroom, and I can imagine all these people sitting, and I can just imagine. It's so magnificent. That's just something I want to let you know. It's just so beautiful.
Thank you. I mean, it's exciting to, like I said, to even talk about it because you're taking it.
Yeah. And would you say that the factory in Peru, your introduction to fashion, is what led you to Runway 7?
Absolutely.
And how did that transition come about? Because I guess that's merging upstate cats entertainment with fashion and kind of bringing those two worlds in one. But what was that transition like for you?
So obviously, anything upstate cats, as I represent that. Where I go, it goes. But the wild thing about Runway 7, and of course we're leading up to that, right?
Yeah.
Anthony Rosen, man, that's my man, that's my brother. He is the brainchild. He's the one that has these thoughts, and he's like, we were talking about it way back then. He was always saying, you know what, man, we got to get into like Fashion Week or something like that. And now, mind you, we're only talking about a brand. Like, okay, we're making brands, so we're like, let's make our own brand and let's just get it to debut in Fashion Week. But again, there's not many of us, right?
Yes.
We're not the gatekeepers of it in the traditional sense. So a lot of times, again, we may make something that is fantastic or all these things, but we can put it up there and they still say no. So we're trying to really think strategic. Okay, we got to figure out how to, maybe if we meet so-and-so, or, maybe, one of the clients we're dealing with, we'll ask them, look, how can you get us in the Fashion Week? And, so we were going through all this. So this was a thought for a long time. And then it just hit one day. Anthony's like, you know what? Why don't we just make our own show? We don't know how to do that, but how we go, let's make our own show. We already made a factory, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so, why not?
So at that point, it just, the right things just started to happen. I'm talking about the good, bad, and indifferent, right? Because there were some initial thoughts and initial plans and initial parts of strategy that went out, but they, things didn't work. Some things did. Some things didn't work. Now, as far as the fashion part, again, another story, bringing it back in, thinking about what brands can we bring in to talk to. Now, me coming from the music industry, and knowing that a lot of people in the music industry are doing things with fashion. So at the time, and still currently, one of our other collaborators, VP Records, got to shout them out. It's the largest reggae label in the world. Started by Miss Pat. Miss Pat, what's up? Miss Patricia Chen and her husband Vincent. That's what VP stands for, Vincent. But historical label, goes all the way back to Bob Marley. But they created a brand called Rhythm Driven, and this was a very fashion forward clothing line, and was going to represent the culture of roots and culture and reggae, but also the world. So at that point, I'm like, hey, we could use that. We could bring them in and figure something out. And, so we're going everywhere trying to figure out how do we do this. So once the concept, that Anthony conceptualized came forth with a Runway 7. Well, it wasn't Runway 7 yet, but it was like a platform period to how do we do this? How do we continue doing this? Not only can we feature our brand, but we can also use this to be of service, right? Community. We never leave that aspect. How do
Yeah.
we service others? How do we bring others along? Because again, with the factory, we didn't turn someone away if they didn't know, if they just started yesterday. So now with the platform, the fashion platform, how do we get it to become this and become that? And, also we need to tie it to charity. How do we keep that community aspect there? Um, so that's also, how we have that tie in. So we're looking at different things. And once it became conceptualized, it's like, okay, when do we launch it? The world pandemic happened, right? 2020. So now, as we're on the outskirts of the pandemic, but things are still affected, right? Still got to show ID and, can't get in here. New York City, as we know it, was still the heartbeat wasn't there. It was shut down, especially because if you weren't vaccinated, you couldn't come in, you know. So it was all these kind of things. So for us, though, we thought that was the perfect storm to launch it because we
To
said, you
launch,
know what?
yeah.
If nobody comes, it doesn't work. Nobody was there anyway. So, so that's why we did it at that time.
Yeah.
It was okay, we'll launch it, but at least we'll be able to look at it in live form and fix whatever we need to fix. But if it don't do too well, wasn't nobody there anyway, right? That's what our thought was. Nope. This is when is again divine. We launch it, every show sells out. Everyone
Wow.
who
And that's
attended,
your first, that's the first edition.
first one.
Wow.
Forbes magazine is in attendance. Oh my gosh, they said we cover. They do a feature on the platform. Forbes, after they give a wonderful feature and all that, but it was this one particular sentence that I think really was the gasoline to the rocket taking off. Runway 7 is what Fashion Week should look like. Once they said that, it was like, oh, shoot. Okay. All right. Yeah, we here now. You know how Denzel was. Like, yeah, okay. But at the time, we also like, oh shoot, now we got to really make sure this thing is right.
Now it begins.
Now it begins, right? Because we had so many fires, right, that people don't see, right? That's show business, right? You don't see fires behind the scene. You just see the end product. So, oh man, we got to fix this. So we're going in overdrive, right? Now, the reason why we're able to handle that is because of a fantastic, dynamic team that we have. Lady D, Diane, this fantastic. Christina, Lady C. That's what I give them, Lady C and Lady D. But so it's not just Anthony. It's not just myself. Christina coming in and just really bringing her coolness, her strategic thinking, her innovative thinking. Lady D coming in, Diane coming in with just, energy, vision, experience, and this. And I mean, it takes a real good team to come in, to really do their thing. And then we got Lauren, Lady L, coming in. And mind you, like I said, we believe in the power of the ladies, right? That the way the team just comes in and just really takes everything to another level. That also includes the entire team in Peru. The entire team in Peru is also working on this. So it's not just, the faces that you see and don't see from an executive standpoint, but it takes literally the entire team to make Runway 7 go. Our fantastic partners over there at Sony Hall, you know, they saw the vision too and said, you know what, bring it here. How's it here? And again, what better place to do it than the world renowned Sony Hall, Times Square, New York City. I mean, so that set the table for us too. We had all of the right variables, all of the right parameters happening that when it came out, and when people were leaving after the first one. Now, mind you, I'm the guy, just like how we met, right? I'm the guy that, I'll talk to the cooks, I'll talk to the parking attendant, and because I want to know what your experience is from every angle. So I come out and I look at the people in line, I talk to the people, and so that line you saw when I first encountered you and met you,
Yeah.
that line was like that in the very first show.
Wow.
And we're talking, we do 6 shows per day, and at the time it was 3 for 3 days. We added the 4th day, the one you attended. So that's how big it just was growing and continued to grow. And we're like, wow. But for Forbes to cover it and say that definitely set the tone for other, media platforms and social media influencers and people to come and see for themselves and say, oh my God. And the thing that was most pleasing is hearing people leave and say, that was the best experience ever. I've never experienced anything like that. Or people that had a preconceived notion of what Fashion Week is, right? Because when you think Fashion Week, it's very stuffy, and if you're not, hosh posh, papakosh, you can't come in here.
I love
It's it's not that. We're like, hey, come in, let's do it.
Yeah.
Come on and see the show.
Experience it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
come get the experience. We're here to serve. Oh, if your fashion style is not, being couture, that's fine. If it's a little more vintage, if it's a little more grungy, fine. If it's a little more athletic, fine. Come on in, but just have a great time. And that's what people walk out from our shows with. I call our show, we say we're the premiere, and other people have called us the premiere, show, but I call us the Super Bowl of Fashion Week. We're the excitement. We're the ones that are going to give you that experience where you just walk away and say, wow, I came for fashion, but I left with a lot more,
Yeah.
So that was what we've been able to do with Runway 7. And we're so humbled. We're so proud, of what it's doing, the way it's servicing people, the way it's becoming a bigger platform for others to continue to jump off and springboard their brands. Speaking of which, I always make sure I say this too in the atmosphere. Brands, make sure you continue to acknowledge Runway 7, because some people go out there and be like, oh, I showcased at New York City Fashion Week. No, you showcased that Runway 7 for New York Fashion Week, So I
Yes.
always make sure I say that and make people understand that, especially brands that, are minority owned, or minority led, because there's a lot of platforms that won't let you in. Ours does. I mean, just recently, the show that you attended, we had over 100 and maybe 10 brands, 12 brands from 15 different countries.
Yes. Yes.
We're repeating that again. This one coming up in February, we're featuring 117 designers from over 10 countries. We also have a tribute, to the Puerto Rican fashion icons. We got a lot of brands, highlighting Puerto Rico, but there's also a tribute in there to Puerto Rican fashion icon Carlota Alfaro. We also having, categories featuring, couture, swimwear, bridal, prom, celebrity, and pageant. And as I'm describing these things, it should whet the appetite to want to see something visually. But also when you're there, not only do we whet the eyes, the ears, the mind,
Of course.
the vibe,
The vibe.
good drinks, and I'm not talking just alcohol. I'm saying like just good drinks, good crisp water with some ice cubes. Go to some of these shows you go to.
It's across the board.
Yeah, they don't give you nothing at some of these fashion shows. Like, come on now, we giving you everything,
It's definitely an experience. I mean,
Yeah.
I had an amazing time, and I was telling everyone about it. I think for me, it was walking in, right? And then having that OMG type of, when your eyes just go like, oh my God. Like
Yes.
I had that experience, and then sitting down to just experience it, and the music and the variety in designers, and seeing different. I think that as exactly what Forbes said, that this is what Fashion Week is supposed to be like. We're supposed
Yes.
to experience fashion. We're supposed to experience other elements that supplement fashion, like
Right.
music, like entertainment, and really
Yes.
come out there excited and fall in love with fashion yet again.
Yes. Yes.
You know what I mean? Like I definitely got to experience that. And then the interactions that everyone has after, and then the time to just like,
Yeah.
interact and take photographs and
Yes.
really, even in the line that we were standing in, I remember I was just,
Yes.
chatting to people and everyone is just standing excited, and the line was so long, and that for me was like, I'm at the right place.
Yes.
When there's the line goes across to the end of the block, you're like, okay, I'm at the right place.
Yes. I got
So
your props now. I got to give you your props because you that day I met you very fashionable, and that's the thing that we like to see is that when you look through the line, you're also seeing a myriad of fashion, a rainbow of fashion, and people in their personal style, and it was just great to see it. And I was like, and I saw you talking to people. I said, "Oh, you interviewing about Runway? How come you didn't talk to me? I won't talk about the experience, But it was such a good thing watching that excitement unfold,
mm,
and and just in for you, right, feeling compelled to say, you know what, I have to get this right now, like and
yeah.
I think it was beautiful to see. I'm really glad that you feel that way, and you walk away with that sense of like, wow, this is what it is. Because the thing is, we get that from everybody who attends, whether they're a high profile personality or someone who's just a fan of fashion. We've gotten that from everybody, and I mean everybody that attends our show.
Yeah, so this is a call to action to everyone. Like, you definitely want to be, and what I'm sharing is an experience from a viewer or an audience member or someone who's watching from the sidelines. What would you say the experience for the designers is? Because this is a next step in their career.
Yeah.
This is literally Times Square, New York,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
What does this
Yes.
experience look like to the designers, and how is it even the process to even getting to showcase at Runway 7?
Yeah, so what we encourage people to do, right? Of course, we're talking about now, again, now it's the social media world, right? So we encourage people to go, to our IG, at Runway 7 Fashion, where it takes you to the website, runway7fashion.com. And people are able to not only get a visual tasting of what it looks like and what it is, but they can actually apply right then and there and go through the process of submitting, their information, and then the team takes it, digests it, and starts to go to work for them. The thing that we pride ourselves on is like you don't have to be the biggest brand to get in. Again, this is a platform of service. Now, we're not saying just come in and be messy and all that. We're not looking for that either. But we're also here to help you validate yourself,
Yeah,
by saying I'm showcasing at New York City Fashion Week, Times Square, Sony Music Hall, because that in turn helps that person. Like, if, let's say I just started my brand 2 months ago, and I don't have a lot of pieces, but I have, enough to showcase. Once I say my brand has featured New York City Fashion Week, Times Square, New York City, Sony Music Hall, Runway 7 Fashion, now those validating factors help drive the brand. We want that brand to go out there and continue to get big and continue to use our platform. Keep coming back, keep coming back, keep coming back. One of the things I say is a lesson for those. It helps you, make sure your business is in order, right? Um, let's be real. We've had people come in and their business not in order, but we didn't necessarily turn them away. We would just say, hey, take care of these specific items here. This is going to help you be able to do this and do that. It helps with the brand, and because right, you're doing a presentation. It's a show, and
sure.
and it's stressful all on its own, especially if it's your first time. You don't know what's going to happen. One of the scenes could bust last minute, and people are like, "Oh my God, what am I going to do?" And we're like, "Calm down, calm down. It's going to be fine." You know. But I think the business part of it again is what is teaching brands and designers and brand owners to do a self check on. We've had some brands who just started yesterday, but their business is together, and they gave a presentation like you wouldn't believe. You would think that they've been doing it for 15 years and only been doing it for 5 months. And so our thing is to just for brand owners and designers is to help you really just cultivate the business and use this platform to service your brand and get to your customer, your client, and then keep coming back to keep escalating. Because the thing is, we're still going like this too. So we want you to keep going as well. So we do everything in our power to try to basically empower a brand designer or a brand owner to just keep driving forward.
And I think you can. I was having some chats with some designers after our show, after the last season show, and some are from Australia, some from New York, some from just various parts of the world, and you could really tell that from this moment, this is like a ticket. They're taking this ticket from Runway 7 and they're going to go back home, back into their countries, and showcase everyone that we've done and we've successfully showcased and we've successfully placed our mark in New York City. And some have been, this is their first time even coming to the city, right? Some have never been here before. And you're creating that platform for them to be able to do that. I think it's absolutely incredible. You mentioned that that we have 6 shows a day, 4 days, over 100 designers. Take us through what's happening this season. I'm super excited.
Woo. This is going down.
It's going down.
It's going down. The thing that I think is the highlight for us is the fact that we have so much representation from different areas, from different countries, from different places. We have like I said, the tribute going on for our Puerto Rican fashion icon, Carlota Alfaro. They always mess with me the way I say my R's, but but yes, we that is the biggest part I think we want to sell to people. Come see the representation. Also, keep in mind, right, when people think fashion, they think they're going to see one body type. Not with us. You're going to see a range of body types represented. You're going to see a range of ages represented. You're going to see a range of ethnicities represented in our show. We're very excited about continuing the momentum of that. One of the things that was also music to our ears, I remember standing up front in the red carpet area for a second, and BET had just arrived. And BET walked in and they said, "This is us. Like, okay, wait a minute. We're not used to this. We're used to going to these things and we don't see us.
Yes.
We don't see representation as a whole. We're just used to seeing one thing. So to hear, again, another medium, like that saying, we don't see this, that's what we want to continue going with, is that, it's not that we want to deviate and do something different every time in terms of representation. We just want to continue doing it bigger. And, that's primarily what we're going for, is to be bigger and to be better. We're just so excited about the fact that, this representation is what's driving home with a lot of people. Because when people leave, they're like, man, we've never seen this. We've never experienced this. And to hear that, that's what we're continuing to try to continue driving home, is that. There's a lot of features. We got, who am I thinking of? We also have an exciting brand coming, all the way from, where are they coming from? There's just so many countries. Like I know. I'm going through our list of countries here, and I'm like, yeah, because like we have one coming, for example, for Hong Kong. I remember when I saw something, I said, oh, okay. It's called Sparkle, and it's Karen Chan. It's when you look at certain ones, right? And this is me, like, when we all of us as a team, Christina, Diane, Anthony, Lauren, when we're looking at things, right? But everyone also has their own particular thing, like, oh, I want to see this one. Oh, I want to see that. So I'm thinking about the ones that kind of stick out in my mind where I'm like, okay, this is going to be interesting to see,
Wow.
But it's the representation that I'm really driving home here is that, I want people to, understand that when you come, you're going to see something, at least one or two things that you can just identify with and just say, wow, that's me. And that's what you want people walking away saying is, that's me, because we want people to be inspired, go back and say, you know what? I didn't know that designer just started. You know what? I'm going to go home and start my idea. Or,
Yeah.
Wow, that model looked gorgeous. How long have you been modeling? Oh, this is my first show. Really? Oh, you know what? I'm gonna go out. Next audition, I'm coming out. So a lot of people, see that, and that's the other thing too. People can, go for casting. We don't do the casting per se. Like, so Rob Lee does not make the decision if you're getting picked on a brand. But we do have castings taking place February 5th at Sage
Okay.
in New York. But you have to register. You got to go, again, through the website, runway7fashion.com, or go to the IG page, go through the proper channels, register, and then you receive the information from there to get onto the show. The other thing I want to say to brands and brand designers and brand owners is also give yourself some grace. Everything is not going to go right. Everything is not going to happen the way you planned it 100%, but you're there. Just keep going.
And enjoy the moment.
Enjoy the moment and keep going.
Yay. I'm so. My lights keep going off because we've been having this conversation for like almost an hour and a half. But I want us to get the nitty-gritty, the details. Yeah. When is it beginning? Until which? So you said 4 days. So when are those 4 days? And take us through just those little details.
Yes, Runway 7. We're back at it again, giving it to the world February 8th through the 11th. February 8th through the 11th. That's February 8th through the 11th. So that's Thursday to Sunday. And again, like I said, 6 shows a day. First show starts at 11 a.m. Shows run all the way up until 9. Sony Music Hall, just so people need to know, 235 West 46th Street, not 45th, but 46th Street, right there in Times Square. You just expect, lines,
lines. Good lines, because you see good fashion and you talk to good people. That's fine.
Yeah, but expect a great time, expect a great time. Our shows run consecutive, 11 a.m., 1 p.m., 3 p.m., 5 p.m., 7 p.m., 9 p.m.
9 p.m.
And
how many designers per show?
So it varies. You're probably going to get about, we try to make sure we keep it at like 6 or 7, but it depends, because you also have brands that come in and they book their own show. Those are the bigger brands, because obviously you have an hour of fashion being delivered to you, but then you have some brands who want to purchase their own hour, because they have the capability to do so. So that option is there for brands as well, where they say, you know what, we just want it to be us.
For that time slot. Yeah.
And they'll fill that time.
Is one able to go on your website, go to social media, and find the times for all the different designers, and be able to kind of select which one they'd like to come see, maybe based on their country, and be like, I want to see designers from my country. Yeah,
exactly, based on the country, based on their fashion preference. I'll also make sure that you have that information to share with the viewers as well, and they can just go down and say, "Ooh, you know what? That looks exciting, and that looks exciting, and that looks exciting." So I'll make sure you have that information as well, and you can pass it on, share it to your viewers, post to social media.
That's right.
Anything like that, for sure.
All roads lead to February 8th, ladies and gents. Sony Hall, Runway 7, 6 shows a day. Over 100 designers.
Yep, from over 10 countries.
Over 10 countries. That sounds like an experience you do not want to miss. Of
At
course,
all.
we are going to be leading you to that particular fashion show and hopefully be sharing more about Runway 7 as the days lead closer to the fashion show as well, right here on the show. We want to make sure that you get to know everything, right?
Yes,
And
yes.
be ready to showcase your beautiful fashion and all of that on that particular runway. And then Rob will be back for us to unpack. Hunt me down.
I'll be back in
You'll
person.
be in studio with me.
In studio, in person. And we're going to unpack the experience, what happened. We're going to talk about what you wore because you're fashionable. You're very fashionable as well. So we'll talk about all of those things, man. And I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it.
That's great. That's great. Any last words, Rob? I don't want to take, you have a fashion show to plan, so I don't want to take any much more of your time. So good. Any last words before we say goodbye? What would you like to leave our viewers with? Whether it be from an inspirational point of view or anything Runway 7, but whatever is in your heart right now.
Oh, sure. Like I said, once again, I'm just humbled to, be doing this with you. Big shout out to your platform. I mean, it's a beautiful thing to see, like I said, us doing our thing. So keep doing that. That's for you. But at the same time, for me, I just want to, tell people to, no matter what you're going through, keep the faith. Like I said, I've said it from the very beginning, I'm one who's done some great things, so far. I've touched some dreams. I've done some things that others, are looking to do. I'm proud to say I've done some things that have been the first at it, but those things didn't come without trials and tribulations. It looks good what we're doing, but a lot of times, like I said, you're going to have a lot of hurdles that come at you. And I've definitely had them both professionally and personally. But as long as you got God, man, your destiny is yours. It's yours. Don't let the enemy or anybody else out there distract you from what's already yours. Again, I'm going to say that again. Don't let the enemy or anybody out there distract you from what's already yours. If you pray about it, be about it, it's yours. It's already yours. So I'm grateful. I'm thankful. Like I said, Runway 7 Fashion. Make sure you check us out. Go to, we're on IG. You can Google us. We're the only ones that come up. The Upstate Cats is the same thing. If you want to hit me, personally, just go to the Upstate Cats on IG as well. But, follow me. Stay with me. Stay with my team. Christina, Diane, Anthony, Lauren. Like, stay with us. We're out here doing some things. We're going after our dreams, but we're also creating the way so others out there can achieve theirs too. So don't be afraid to get in touch. Don't be afraid to come through to the show. Have a good time. And let's take some selfies. Let's do some things. Let's smile. Let's have some fun along the way. And let's just do what we do.
Ladies and gents, the one and only Rob Lee.
Thank you. Thank you so
much. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for sharing your journey. Again, I'm hoping it's going to inspire someone to start, to continue, and to finish strong, right? I'm hoping that this conversation will really ignite someone from wherever you are around the world. Thank you as well at home for tuning in. This is the Vuyo Show. We are coming to you live from New York City. And of course, I am your favorite global darling, Vuyo Jamoda, and we were joined by the incredible Rob Lee on the show today to share his journey, his story, and all things fashion and Runway 7 coming up this season of New York Fashion Week. I hope to see you there, and of course, we'll be keeping you in the loop of what's going to be happening as we get closer to February 8th. From me and Rob, it's goodbye and have a fantastic day with so much love. Cheers for now.